What's going on, guys? This is Gnosis de la Soul here. Today, I want to talk to you guys about something very important. I'm going to be talking about your tax returns or your tax refund. Every year, over 75 million Black Americans file taxes. And every year, 80% of you give your money right back to the government, which is why it's called a tax return or a tax refund, because you're going to be giving your funds right back to the source from which it came, which is the government. So a lot of us talk about breaking generational curses, about increasing wealth, about leaving something back or leaving something forward to our children, to our future progeny. But we don't know how to go about this. Many Black Americans are poor, destitute, they're impoverished. They have low IQs. They're undereducated. We live in really bad neighborhoods. Don't get it twisted. I live in the hood myself. However, because I'm a vegan and I have a certain lifestyle, I usually have to travel outside of my neighborhood just to go food shopping. I don't shop at the local neighborhood grocery because the foods that they sell are just horrible. It's just nothing but GMO fruits and veggies. We have everything is sugar based. It's very unhealthy. So I usually have to travel outside of my neighborhood. Oftentimes I have to travel 30-40 minutes taking a train and a bus just to shop at a decent organic store outside of my neighborhood. And this is very unfortunate, but sadly this is the case. This is what I have to do anytime I want to put something in my side of my vessel. And so the reason for this, as we all know, I don't have to go into great details, but this is set up this way on purpose to keep us vibrating at a lower mental state. You understand? A lot of us grew up eating Chinese food, crown fried chicken, Kennedy fried chicken, and whatever rubbish and trash that they have at the local grocery store. The reason why is because a lot of us don't have the economic funds or the sources to start our own organic grocery chains. And so a lot of times you'll see these type of stores, 24 hours, or maybe it's not, or Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or local farmers markets. They're usually not in the Black neighborhoods. This is done on purpose to keep us in a lower mental state. You understand? So that we can be easily controlled. So how are we going to help ourselves? Because I'm tired of seeing people marching and signing petitions as if the people who put you in that state are going to just change their minds and roll over because you asked them to. I know if you was being kidnapped and raped and you say to your oppressor, hey, could you stop it? They're not going to do that. They already made up their mind to do so. So you have to go out and fight for your own self. You understand? How do we do this? Is by unifying, by pulling our dollars together. When you go into a Chinese neighborhood, everything is in Chinese. You can't even read the signs. They don't care if you can't read it because it's not for you. You understand? If you choose to do business in their neighborhood, then that money is going to them and their family. A lot of times they don't even want you in their store. You understand? When you go into a Chinese neighborhood, you'll see nothing but Chinese employees, Chinese signs, and Chinese banks. When you go into a white neighborhood, you'll see businesses that are being run by Black people working there as employees, but the owners are white, and the money goes into their pockets to fund their families. You understand? When you go into an Italian neighborhood, it's the same thing. When you go into a Jewish neighborhood, it's the same thing. When you go into an Indian neighborhood, they all own their own banks. They own their stores. But when you come into the Black neighborhood, you don't see any Black owners. Where are the Black owners? You may see a Black person with a barbershop or two, but that's not really Black wealth. You understand? You'll have the Arabs or the Yemenis. They own the bodegas. You understand? They own the you see the Chinese man own the nail salon. He owned the beauty supply store. He owned the Chinese food store. You understand? You got the Indians. They own the 99-cent stores and the Dunkin' Donuts and the gas stations. And then you may see one or two Jamaican-owned Black restaurants. You understand? or we may own a barbershop or two, but the vast majority of the businesses we do not own in our own neighborhoods. You understand? When you spend your money with them, they're taking that money out of your neighborhood, out of your pocket, and they're bringing it back to their neighborhood where they live, and they're circulating the money in their family's hands. You understand? They're not giving it back to you. So anytime you go into a bodega that's not owned by somebody who looks like you, and they don't live in the neighborhood, that's $1 that's leaving the community that will never be seen again forever. That's just gone. You understand? There's a saying that says money should pass through like hands of the same color at least 3 times before leaving the neighborhood. Meaning, if I'm a black barbershop owner, and then I go into the Jamaican restaurant, and then they go into the black-owned gas station, that's money passing through 3 people of the same colors before it leaves the neighborhood, which means that I done supplied 3 businesses with my business so that they can eat and feed their families and grow their business before it leaves the neighborhood. It should never be, I go into the Chinese food store and I give it to the Chinese man, and it never passes through any colored like hands. And then the Chinese man takes his money, he goes into his neighborhood because he don't live in your neighborhood, and then he goes and he spends that money that you just gave him in his neighborhood with his people and his bank. You understand? So we don't own our banks. We don't own any infrastructure. We don't own any import-export. We don't own any resources. We don't own any think tanks. We don't own any research centers. We don't own any public works, any public land. We don't have any schools, no grocery stores. We don't even own the bodegas. We don't own the funeral homes. We don't own the gas stations. We don't own the medical supply stores. We don't own the clinics. We don't own the 99-cent stores. We don't even own the streets. We don't even own our homes. You're paying mortgages to a home that's owned by the bank. So black people, we're really in a really bad situation right now, because all it takes is for one of these business owners to pull their resources out of our neighborhoods, and we're fucked. We're screwed. All it takes is for another housing bubble and everybody's out of their homes. All it takes is for that gas station to close down, and now you got to travel 3-4 miles out of your neighborhood to go get gas. You understand what I'm saying? All they got to do is raise the prices, and you're going to have to pay it or travel outside of your neighborhood. And so, as black people, we spend more money and more time buying Jordans. You understand? We spend more money and time trying to make our kids look fresh. They're fucking kids. They're supposed to be outside playing in the dirt, scraping up their knees. And I see a lot of people on Instagram and Facebook turning their children into fashion models. 8, 9-year-olds, 4-year-olds putting on Jordans and Timberland. And it's funny because I'm not even going to speak about Jordan, because if you all know, I'm not even going to speak about that, because we all know who makes those sneakers, and those are made in prisons. And I know 99%, 80% of the prisons are filled with black people. So we're not going to speak about that. We're not going to speak about the Timberlands that you guys love to wear. And the owner of Timberland said he doesn't want to see black people wearing his boots. But we're not going to speak about that. This is specifically about black spending power. So we spend a lot of money buying shit that doesn't matter. We're investing, we're making these companies rich. We made Nike rich. Nike wasn't even that powerful back then. It was Adidas and all these other companies that really had the juice. So we're giving our hard-earned money to people who do not look like us, people who do not care for us, people who want to see you dead. You understand? How is it you go into a Chinese store and they kicking you out, being rude, disrespectful to you, and you still giving them your money? It's crazy how many videos I've seen of black women going into the beauty supply store and getting jumped. Now, I don't know what kind of coward man will put his hands on a woman, but these Chinese people don't give a fuck. They'll fuck you up and call the cops and say that they did it. You get what I'm saying? Because they have their bank, they have their whole culture that's supporting them. Black people, a white police officer could come into our neighborhood, kill one of our youth, and all we doing is recording with our phones. We don't even try to fight back. We don't even mob the fucking officer and kill him. Yeah, I'm advocating that shit. It's time out for this shit, this kumbaya shit. Listen, if somebody come into your neighborhood and kill one of your children and you don't do nothing about it, why would they not come and do it again? You understand? You got 50 people standing around and none of you decide to pick up a rock or just jump the man. He doesn't have enough bullets to shoot everybody. You understand? It's not about killing them. It's not about that. It's about showing them that you're not going to take it no more. See, people, let me tell you how bullies work. A bully will pick somebody who they think is weak or somebody who they think won't do anything back. And then once they target you and they keep messing with you and you don't do nothing back, they're going to keep doing it. And it's going to get worse and more repetitive. It's going to happen more frequently. And so until you step up and you fight back for your civil liberties, until you step up and you fight back for what's yours, this unjust system is going to continue to blow up in your face. I understand white supremacy. I understand that the entire world is run off of black people's labor. Everything that you buy comes from China. And everything that China manufacture comes from Africa. Everything, your phones, your clothes, your sneakers, the labels that they put on things, the packaging, the boxing, wrapping, everything comes from out of Africa, your motherland. Or even if it's not the motherland, it still comes from out of Africa, which is predominantly black, which is your people. So us black Americans living in America, we spend more money making these corporations rich than we do enriching ourselves, which is crazy. Black people, y'all go out drinking every weekend, wasting your money, poisoning your liver, making these restaurants rich. You understand? And then you have the nerve to not even tip the fucking person that's serving you the drink. Now, let me tell you something. What I do as a profession, besides my self-run business, I'm a waiter or a server. And I wait on tables. And let me tell you something. 95% of the people who do not tip are my own people, black people. So you come into a restaurant acting the fool and nobody want to serve you. You know why nobody want to serve black people? Because y'all don't know how to fucking act. Y'all come in there with your $300 sneakers on, with your Gucci bag and your earrings, talking loud with your $600 phones, and then you want to order everything under the sun. Then you want to have the nerve to ask for a discount. Don't even have enough money to pay for it. Well, you do, we just don't want to. And then on top of that, you don't even fucking tip. What is wrong with us? What's wrong with us? We doing this to our own people. Ain't no white man doing this to us. Ain't nobody making us act like this. It's us. We doing it to us. We got to stop blaming the white man for everything. Yes, he put us in this mental state for this to be like that, but at the same time, he's not making us stay like this. You understand? Nobody's making you go out and spend your money on Jordans, Timberlands, Yeezys, Gucci's, Pradas, Maury's, Gators, Pro-Keds, whatever New Balances, Air Max TNs, whatever sneakers, the new popular sneakers. Why do you guys care so much about what goes on your body rather than what goes in your body? And I understand that comes from mental slavery. Because if a man is poor, then the next thing to feel like he has a self-worth is to make himself look like he is worth it. But in reality, you're not. See, real people with money don't advertise it and flash their money unless they're obnoxious. People who are poor advertise and flash money because you don't have it. So you feel like if I look like I'm expensive, then people will treat me as expensive. And we all know that you don't have it. So why pretend like you do? As a matter of fact, I have more respect for somebody who has on a pair of holy jeans and sneakers and has $50,000 in the bank than somebody who has $100 in the bank and you got on what we call dripping, which sounds really homo, but somebody who has on a pair of Pradas and True Religion jeans and the Gucci t-shirt and the Louis belt. Who cares? All of these designers are gay anyway. They don't even want you wearing their brands. They make fun of you with the blackface and all this shit. And yet you go out and you still continue to support them. I don't understand what is wrong with us. I don't understand this. How are you still continuing to support somebody who don't even want you wearing their brands? And y'all kill each other over it too. This is we are in such a mental backward state of mind. Like, I don't even know what to say at this point. You got dudes walking around with their pants hanging off their ass with no belt on, blasting music on the train, cursing out loud in front of children, showing children their ass. And me as a black man, I'm embarrassed because it's like, this is the representation that most people that you guys are presenting of us, and most people are judging us based on what they see on a regular everyday basis. They all know it's not all black people, but it doesn't matter. The stigma is still on us. And so I urge everybody this tax season to, instead of spending your money buying a pair of sneakers, some clothing, or instead of buying some new furniture or a flat screen TV or a new car, which depreciates in value, you're gonna have to pay money for car insurance and maintenance and car payments and all this stuff. That's depreciating value. That's a liability. It's not an asset. I suggest you go out there and you start a business. You understand? Even if you have to register it, I'd rather pay taxes on a business than to pay taxes working a 9 to 5. At least I know it's my business. You understand? You can do Airbnb. Get together with a group of a women or fellas. Start an Airbnb business. You can do an export-import business. I highly recommend that we team up with some of our people in the Caribbean and Africa, and we start doing an import-export. Why? Because there's a lot of GMOs being sold. You understand? There's a lot of fake food out here being imported from China. So why don't we team up with our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean? A lot of black people have family who are from the Caribbean. A lot of us are Caribbean. So why don't we team up? There's farms in the Caribbean. You can export, import fruits and veggies, and you can sell it on a fruit stand. Or you can come together with a group of people and y'all can open up a brick and mortar store, and then you can sell non-GMO fruits and veggies to our people instead of making us go to these Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and buying these fumigated, irradiated, pesticide, herbicide fruits and making our people sick, and all this seedless fruits that don't have no seeds in it, which is unnatural. You can't even replant your own fruit. This is what I highly recommend. You know, it's not too hard to call up somebody. Hey, listen, you live in Trinidad? Hey, what's up? You live in Ghana? Hey, what's up? You live in the Barbados? Listen, what's the main fruit in Barbados? Okay, boom. You got a piece of land? No. All right, listen, we're going to do business. We're going to come down there. We're going to buy a plot of land, even if it's a small piece of land the size of a house. It's something. You can still grow fruits, and you can import that to America, and you can sell it for a profit. And then you can save those seeds, you know, depending on whatever. You can have people ship back the seeds, or even if not, you can sell it. And then you can make a profit. And now not only are you supporting your people back home, back in the Caribbean or from the motherland, but you also supporting your own self. And at the same time, you're also eating healthier. So it's a win-win situation all around. You understand? And then as your business continues to grow, you buy more and more plots of land. You understand? Till you hit a point where now you're employing other black people to work in your business, because now you have a big business that you can't run with just a few people no more. See, this is how industries grow. This is how businesses grow. You start off small and then you expand. You understand? A lot of us, we have this mindset that we believe that if we don't have $1 million, we can't start a business. I started a business with $1,000. $1,000, and I started my own business. Now, I understand I hit a lot of bumps. You understand? I hit a lot of, roadblocks, and I'm learning from my mistakes. But that's the fun of it. That's the part of starting a business. You learn as you go along. So why can't we do this? Why can't we start an Airbnb? Why can't we start an import-export selling non-GMO fruits? Why can't we open up our own grocery stores? It's not hard. All you need to do is buy a piece of property with a group of people. You understand? You can get a loan from a bank. And if they don't want to give you a loan, you can just get a more and more people to join in, and you can do a percentage payout. You don't got to split all your profits. You can do it's called a dividend. You can pay out dividends where you say, okay, listen, I need 1,000 people to all give $1,000, right? And then out of that, You can say, instead of me reimbursing you the full amount that you gave, what I can do is I can give you a payout dividend for the rest of your life in a small percentage over time. See, there's different ways of setting up businesses. You understand? You don't have to always, you don't need $1 million to start a business. And I used to think like that until I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. When I was 19 years old, I had my own business. You understand, guys? It's not hard to start a business. All you need is a few people with like minds to start a business. Now, I'm gonna just keep it real, man. A lot of people say you shouldn't say it. I'm gonna just keep it real. There's a lot of people I know personally and people in my family who I went to just try to start a business, and I was rejected. And it's unfortunate, because I feel like the first people you should go to is your family to start a business. But if they don't want to start a business, they don't have the vision. And the thing is, even if they don't agree with your idea, it's to agree on a idea. You understand? Not everybody's going to be the one to have their business at the forefront. If everybody has a different idea and they all sound good, you narrow it down to one that's easier for everybody to do, and one that's profitable. Even if it's not your idea, just agree to do it. Because at the end of the day, once the money starts flowing in, you can use that to start your own business. You understand? So what I suggest for us to do as Black people, we need to come together, stop selling weed, because that's not making you no money. And if it was making you money, then you would see a whole bunch of Black success millionaires, but you don't. As a matter of fact, what it is going to do is it's going to keep the law enforcement on your back. They know who's selling the drugs. You understand? You're going to constantly be looking over your shoulder. And why would you want that? Why would you want to risk going to jail or having a criminal record? Or worse, getting all your product taken away. Now you back to square one. So we need to stop selling this weed. You understand? We need to start selling businesses and dreams and hopes. You understand? So I suggest come together with friends, family, and acquaintances, or people who have similar ideas. Come together, come have a meeting at a restaurant. It's not hard. I mean, we go out to drink, eat, we go to clubs. The thing is, I don't understand what Black people is. You can come up to them with an idea and say, listen, let's come together, guys. Let's have a business meeting. And they'll give you a million excuses why they can't do it. But then when you say, hey, listen, let's go to this club on Friday or Saturday. Let's go out to this restaurant. Y'all have no problem doing that. So the same way y'all can meet up to do whatever, it's the same way y'all can meet up to have a round table meeting. You understand? Y'all should come together, start and agree on the idea. It doesn't have to be the first meeting y'all have the whole thing set. Y'all can have more than one meeting until y'all feel y'all reached a point where everybody's in agreement and y'all all trust each other. Because it's all about trust. Because when you go to court, it says, in God we trust. You understand? And if you are a guy, then y'all should be able to trust each other. But because we don't trust each other, everybody's going separate ways, and it's all greed. And greed is for profit. For profit is for self. You understand? So if you really trust each other, come together, and it doesn't need to be no written contracts between lawyers. It should be a mutual agreement. Because if you feel like you need to get a contract together, and I'm not saying don't get a contract, don't be naive, but what I'm saying is if you feel like you have to get a contract, then I wouldn't do business with that person, because a person should do right by you based on the strength of you being in existence alone. So if you can't do business with somebody without feeling the need to have a written contract, then I would not do business with this person, because most likely they'll take advantage of you. You understand? So that's the second thing. The third thing that we need to do as people is we need to save our money. Stop going out and spending your every last dime and living from check to check. Even if you make $15 an hour, it doesn't matter how much money you make. You can still be successful in life making $15 an hour. You understand? If you're making $15 an hour, you're making at least $2,300 a month. Minus your rent, your bills and everything, you still have over $1,000 left over, because rent don't cost that much. I mean, unless you're living by yourself. And if you're living by yourself, I wouldn't have an apartment that cost me $2,000. You understand? If you're living by yourself and you're making $15 an hour, then you need to be renting a room that costs like $500-$600, maybe $900. If you living by yourself and you got an apartment that costs $2,000 and you making $15 an hour, that makes no sense, because now you spending all your money on rent and you won't have no money for groceries, for your bills, for going out, for entertainment. So I would maybe readjust your lifestyle and your spending habits. If you living by yourself and you making minimum wage, you need to get a room to rent so that you can save your money. Remember, it's not about living fancy and shit. You need to get that shit out of your heads. Y'all poor. We're poor people. We're poor in our mind. We're not poor. We're rich, but we're poor mentally. We want to live like the Joneses, but we're not the Joneses. We're the blacks. Live like the blacks, like your ancestors did. Live like kings and queens. But first, to build your empire, you got to start off building your empire. You understand? So if you're making minimum wage, then you need to budget for minimum wage. You say, okay, I'm making $15 an hour, and get out a sheet and a list and write your expenses down. This is what I do. I write down my expenses down to a T. Okay, if I'm making $15 an hour and I work 40 hours a week, I'm making $600. And if I multiply that by 4, that's $2,400, right? 6, 12, 18, 24, minus taxes and everything. That's probably going to be about $2,100. So I'm making $2,100 minus my rent. That's going to be about $700. So I'm going to have about $1,800 or something left over. You get what I'm saying? I mean, like $1,600 or $1,200, and then minus my groceries and my phone bill and my credit card and this. Okay, now I'm gonna have $1,000 or $1,200 left over. This is how you got to think. And you say, okay, I'm gonna take that 1,000 and I'm gonna save it, and then I'm gonna have $200-$300 at the end of the month to play around with. If I want to go out. I'm not saying live like be a hermit. You understand? But have a goal, because a goal is going to motivate you to, when your friends say, hey, you want to go out drinking, you want to go partying, you want to go shopping, you can say no with confidence. You're not going to feel like under peer pressure, because you're going to be like, you know what, in 6 months, I'm going to have $6,000 saved up to start my business. Whether if you didn't have that goal written down, you would have just go out spending your money. And then in 6 months, you be back, you're in the same state, poor, living from check to check. So it's not about how much money you make, even though it is. It's about what you do with your money. I'm going to give you guys a story, and this is a true story. When I first started out in my career, I used to be a bartender, and I was making about $6,000 a month, maybe more. I was about in my early 20s, like 2021. I was making $6,000 a month or more, and I was bartending, and I was like, thought I was a man. I was going out, spending money on cabs, buying weed in bulk. I'm not gonna lie, I was, going to Atlantic City and just blowing my money doing stupidness, because I wasn't conscious. I mean, I was conscious, but I wasn't fully conscious yet. And I was always poor. I was always struggling. I never had money to pay my rent. You understand? And I remember one day I asked somebody to borrow money, and they were making minimum wage. And this is what really woke me up. I'm making $6,000. I'm a bartender. $6,000 for a 20-year-old is really good in New York City. And my rent was only $1,000. My rent was less than $1,000. I know, I was blessed. And I still couldn't have enough money to pay my rent. Why? Because I was mismanaging my money. Because I kept thinking to myself, I can spend everything I have, because the next job, the next shift I go in, I'm going to make $300-$400. I kept thinking like that. So I kept spending it. Then when it was time for rent, I'm like, oh shit, I don't have my money for rent, because I spent everything thinking that I'm going to get it back the next shift. So I had to borrow money from somebody, and the person who I borrowed money from, they was making minimum wage. And guess what? When they showed me their bank account, they had mad money in their bank account. And that one moment in life really gave me a wake up call. Like, yo, what are you doing? This person's not even making nowhere near what you're making, but yet they got more money than you saved up. And that's what really opened my eyes, and that's what really made me like kind of slow down on my spending habits. But I say that to say this: it's not about how much money you make, it's what you do with your money. Because imagine if you're making only minimum wage, but every single time you get paid, you take a little bit of that money and you put it aside and you start a business. Or if you just save it, eventually over time it's going to accumulate. You understand? And then at the end of the year, or whatever time frame you give yourself, you take that money and you combine it with your tax returns, or maybe you don't, whatever way you want to do it. And then you say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start this business. Now you still working your 9 to 5, and you still have a business on the side. And then once you still continue to save your money and you starting your side business, that's when you're going to start to see wealth. And that's when you're really going to start to see changes in your life. Like, wow, I'm really doing this. Because the goal is you want to make at least $1,000 a day in your business. And it's not hard to do. It's not hard. I'm not saying I'm a millionaire. I'm not saying I never made no mistakes in life, especially for those of you out there who knew me in the past. You knew what I was like. I was always partying and going out. But like I said, that was the old me. You understand? That was the unconscious me. So I'm not afraid to sit here and tell on myself because there's nothing to tell. You understand? This is growth. This is growth. If you didn't grow from nothing, if you didn't learn from your mistakes, then you cannot call it growth. So when I'm telling you guys this, I'm not preaching to you guys and I didn't do it. You understand? And I didn't go through it. A lot of us, we still spending money on weed. We still spend a lot of money on Jordans. We still a lot of money going out drinking alcohol, chasing the women, chasing the guys, showing off, buying Jordans and shit. And this is what's keeping us poor. And if you go and if you live in Manhattan, or if you ever go to New York City, or even if you don't go to New York City, just go to any downtown neighborhood and look at all the stores. Look at all your Targets, get your Best Buys. Look at all your retail store, all the fast food restaurants. The majority of the people that you see working there is black people. So imagine if all of us decided to just quit our jobs one day. All of these businesses would go bankrupt overnight because we have the power. And that's the thing I keep trying to tell our people. We have the power. The majority of people running these businesses is us black people. You may have some other races sprinkled in there, but we're the majority of the ones that's running their corporations. So if we all decided one day to just not go to work for 1 or 2 days, we would severely hurt their pockets. You understand? And we would have a voice, but we don't do that because we're afraid to lose our fucking jobs. And that's the problem. As long as we remain in fear, they have power over us. They have power over us. So, to me, there's a million jobs. I live in New York City. And the way I see it is there's a million jobs always hiring every day. So if I lose one job, oh fucking well, I can go get hired the next day at some other job. That's how I feel truly. You understand? And that's how we all should feel. And the reason why we can't act on that is because we don't have no money in the bank. And I'm not above what I say. Same thing goes for me as well. So if we don't have any money in the bank, then we're always going to be at the mercy of these corporations. But imagine if you had $10,000 in your bank, and then your manager was giving you a hard time, and you're like, you know what, fuck you, manager, I'm quitting today, and you quit. Think about how good you would feel knowing that you got 10 grand to sit back on. You could take your time looking for another job that you feel like you want to work at, versus you having to sit there and take bullshit from your manager because you only got $100 in your bank account. Rent is due next week, and you got a mouth to feed. You understand? So this is why I encourage people to save your money, start a business, save up your taxes, stop going out and spending your money with every other nationality that doesn't look like you. And it's nothing to do with racism. This has to do with preserving the black economics. You understand? Because every time we have something, they come and they destroy it. Like, remember Black Wall Street in Tulsa when we had our own town and they came and they bombed it because they never want to see us doing great. But now it's a new day and age. They can't do that no more because now the whole world is watching. We got internet. Everything, information travels fast. So they can't do us the same way that they've been doing us. You understand? Let them try to come do that and see if the whole world won't come to our aid. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, and I'm gonna just end it here, I'm gonna try to keep it short, is we need to start spending our money wisely and stop making these corporations rich. Stop spending our money on nonsense. Some people I know, I had some friends who had a whole sneaker collection. They probably had like over $5,000 in sneakers, and they proud of it. Like, yeah, look at all my Jordans and stuff. And I'm like, at the end of the day, what are you proving? That you just made Nike rich and that you just supported more prisons being built to incarcerate our people? You understand? So at the end of the day, it's not about how much Jordans you got on your feet. The only time I say go ahead and buy those Jordans, and I would never recommend it, is if you're a millionaire. If you're a millionaire, then it's not gonna hurt you to go out and spend your money on a Gucci belt. But don't get carried away. Don't get carried away, because once you start spending, it's like a drug. It comes addictive, and then you start going crazy. We need to spend our money on assets and not liabilities. You understand? We need to spend our money on buying stuff that make us more money. There's nothing wrong with spending $5,000 on a machine that you need for your business that's going to make you more business. But if you're spending $5,000 on sneakers that as soon as you wear them 1 or 2 times, they're worthless, then I don't think that's an intelligent choice. Some people are going to say, oh, well, I can buy Jordans and I can sell them. Yeah, you can do that. But at the same time, every pair of Jordans that you buy, you're also funding the prison systems. And you all know who's in the prisons. So think about where you're spending your money. And don't just think about, oh, I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to buy something. Think about who made that and where it was shipped from and everything else that goes along with that. You understand? Because we don't think like that as Black people. We don't think past what we can see in front of us. We only think about what we can see in front of us, and we can't think past that. So if I buy something that's made from slave labor, I'm supporting that whole system. You understand? So, and I suggest people go and look up online about all the mines in Africa and how they got little children starving to death, working in the mines with no safety equipment, and they paying them like peanuts, paying them like 20 cents an hour, and sometimes they don't even get paid. They just get paid in food. And Apple and all these corporations that we spend our money buying these $700 phones every 2 years that we don't even need to buy. You understand? I buy a new phone every 7 years or every 8 years when my phone is like on its last leg. I always been like that. I don't go around buying the new gadget just because I can. That's the American lifestyle. You don't understand? If I have money like that, then that means that I also have money to start a business. And it's not about starting a business. Don't get me wrong, because the business should never be the goal. The goal should be having your own city, your own military, your own government, your own land, your own resources. That should be the goal. The business is just a funnel. It's just a way to bring money in so that you can build up your empire and you can become the kings and queens that your ancestors wanted you to be, that we always was. See, never get confused with thinking like, oh, I'm gonna start this business, I'm gonna make all this money, and then that's that. No. That's just the first step. It should be, I'm gonna start this business so that I can buy some land so that my family can live on this land rent free for the rest of their life, for the whole generation, and then they don't have to work and pay nobody no rent every goddamn month because I own the fucking land. And I'm gonna build a mansion with like 20 bedrooms so that I can have 5 or 8 families in my mansion. We all have enough space to not be in each other's face, and we don't gotta pay for nothing except for, like the, gas and stuff like that. And I wouldn't, honestly, there's ways of having natural electricity, natural gas. You can use solar energy. There's ways of living off grid where you don't have to pay no corporation, nothing. But we don't invest in that. We don't invest in solar energy. We don't invest in zero emission natural energy. We don't invest in 0 point energy. We don't invest in magnetic energy. It don't cost you nothing for a magnet. A magnet runs out of juice like 1,000 years. You understand? If I power my home using magnetism, I don't have to pay no Con Ed or no National Grid. You understand? Because I'm using nature, natural power. And see, this is what we got to start thinking. We got to start thinking like this. You understand? You got to start thinking like this. We can't keep thinking like, oh, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to buy my Lambo. But guess what? While you thinking like that, you still got to go to the grocery store. You still got to pay the Con Ed. You still got to pay for gas. And you still got to pay rent. So at the end of the day, did you really help yourself, or did you just become a richer person that's still stuck in the system? So this is what I keep telling is the goal should be self-independence or self-sufficiency. It shouldn't be self-independency. You understand? Because just because you rich and you're a millionaire and you got a mansion or you got a nice supercar, that don't mean that you still independent. Because guess what? If they shut off all the lights and they cut off all your electricity and they stop all the food from being supplied, then how are you going to eat? But if you have your own land and you growing your own fruits and veggies and you got your own seeds, then it don't matter what if they shut down the rest of the town, because you have your own shit. You have your own plot of land in nature. You have your own farm growing your own fruits and veggies, and you have your own power. You have your own solar energy, 0 point energy, magnetic energy, zero emission energy. You know, they got technology out that was invented back in the day where instead of releasing fumes, it releases water. They got cars that run on water. That run on gas, and then the emissions is not smoke, it's water. Imagine having a giant machine running in the factories. Instead of producing smoke, it produces water. And then you could use that clean water. And you could use that water to water your plants. And now you got free food, free water. You see, everything could be free, like nature intended. Because when you go and you pick an apple from a tree, the tree don't give you a receipt. There's no barcode on no apple. It's only there so that they can charge you for it. You understand? They go and they take a seed and they plant it, and the tree produces apples forever. And then they charge you for it. Tell me how backwards is that? But you can grow the apple yourself, but you won't, because you're programmed. I gotta get this job. I gotta work this 9 to 5. I gotta go to school for 20 years of my life, and I gotta do this, and I gotta do this so I can support my family. You see, you living in the rat race. You're living in the matrix. You're living in the matrix. If you live in nature, then you don't gotta think like that. This is how it should be. The ideal situation should be you have your own house in a mansion, right? And I suggest you build your mansion out of stone and not wood, unless you're using Japanese carpentry, which is really our ancient method. Because when you use traditional carpentry, it's made out of nails and hammers and glue. But eventually, this is going to dissolve, so your house is going to fall apart after 100 years. However, if you use Japanese carpentry, which is really our ancient methods, then there's no glue, hammers, and nails involved, and everything just sits in place like a puzzle. You understand? Or the best way is to use stone. And you look at all the ruins and the pyramids, and that shit's been standing for thousands and thousands of years. You understand? So if we get back to this mentality where we're building our houses out of stone instead of this American Western style way of building, then our houses will last forever. Imagine you spending 30 years to pay off a house, right? And then in another 50 years, the house is going to be eroded and destroyed by weather and natural occurrences anyway. So you just spent, $500,000 buying a house, paying 30 years, spending 30 years to pay it off. And then in another 50 years, the house is going to break apart. Tell me, how does that make any sense? Or you can spend $1 million building a house out of stone, and a house will last damn near forever. And now once you pay it off, or once you build it, now you can put your family in there, their children, their children, their children, their children, their children, forever. And even if the house falls apart, guess what? You still own the land underneath, so you can rebuild again. But yet, a lot of y'all, what y'all want to do, y'all want to buy a mortgage, right? Because a mortgage means a dead deed. And you don't even own the land underneath. So anytime the city can come and reclaim that land to build a highway or some mall or whatever, and then you're going to spend 30 years paying it off with interest. Tell me, how does that make any sense to you? That doesn't make any sense to me. It only makes sense to you if you live in the rat race, if you live in the matrix. You understand? So the whole goal is you should be buying land. And when I say buy land, don't buy land in the middle of the polluted city. Buy land in the jungle somewhere where you're surrounded by nature and birds and animals and sunlight. Buy some land over there, and get this idea out of your head that the world is overcrowded. The world is not overcrowded. As anything, the world is underpopulated. Almost everything on this planet is dead. There's no life in the water. There's no people roaming around in the wilderness. There's no animals roaming around in the wilderness. But they keep showing you images of people and animals to program your mind so that you believe that the world is overcrowded. But it's not. They're killing us off every year by year. There's more and more of the biosphere being eroded. The biosphere means the outside of the land that contains life, like bugs, animals, insects, and people. You understand? So once we get out of this mindset and we start to think holistically with all of our brains, instead of just thinking logically with our left brain and with our cerebellum, then we begin to understand that nature has provided enough for everybody that live in abundance on this planet, or in this realm, excuse me. There's enough resources for every single person on this planet to have a mansion and to have their own farm. You understand? There's enough space, there's enough room, there's enough of everything. But we live in a mind frame of scarcity. Scarcity is a mental state. There is no such thing as scarcity. You guys spend $1 million buying diamonds, and you don't even know that the Beers company has a whole warehouse with trillions of diamonds just sitting there because they're creating scarcity by withholding. That's how you create scarcity, by withholding, so that there's only a few of it in circulation. Then you could jack up the price. You understand? You guys are all being played. You're being duped. You understand? All you got to do is, and this is the blueprint. I'm going to write this down, guys. Get out a piece of paper, get a pen, write this down. First step, get a job. I don't recommend get a job, but you have to in this case because you got to start from scratch. First step, get a job. Second step, write down how much you're going to get paid. Third step, save up a certain amount of money. Fourth step, start a business. Fifth step, after you have enough money being generated from the business, start looking for where you want to buy land. Even if you don't have enough money, just start it, because once you start thinking about it, you're going to attract it to you. You understand? That's the secret, the power of mental attraction. Once you start figuring out where you want to buy land, then I want you to call up the place and I want you to negotiate a deal with the landowner and say, listen, I want the deed and the title, because if you don't have the deed and the title, then you don't own it. You're just leasing it long term. And if you have to pay taxes on it, you don't own it. Find out where you want to buy land at. Even if you don't have enough money, still just look at it. Once you know the area that you want to have land, always keep that in your mind, because while you're doing that, you're going to attract it. You're going to have something to look forward to, a goal. From there, the guys listening, from there, you want to start funneling the money that you're making into securing this plot of land. Once you own the land, boom, now you can rest a little bit easy. You understand? Now, once you own the land, what you want to do is you want to start building on this land right away. I know this makes no sense because you're like, well, I just started my business. How? No. Listen to what I'm saying. Start building on this land right away. Little by little, every year, I want you to start, just even if it's just $5,000 a year, just start building little by little every year on this land. And I want you to build your home out of stone or Japanese carpentry. You understand? Because this is what's going to last the longest amount of time. And don't build no goddamn house. You need to build a mansion, a multi-family mansion that can hold at least 5 or 6 families inside. You understand? But the thing is, the key is you have to own your own land first. Once you own your own land, it has to be big enough for all of the families to be able to move around. So you want to buy a land that's at least, 20 acres or more. You understand? And then you want to have one section dedicated to the mansion, another section dedicated to like running around, and another section dedicated to farming or to having your own agriculture. You build it a little by little, year by year, because it makes no sense you running a business for 20 years, then you want to start building it. No. Start building it so that in 20 years, when you want to retire or something, then you have a place to go to, because you've been building a little bit on it every year. You understand? Then from there, you want to start another business. And the same thing, when every business that you start, you want to keep funneling money into your land. So eventually, over a given amount of time, you're going to have the mansion fully built, or enough of it built where you can at least move in. You understand? Every business that you start, this is your goal. Have the land, build a mansion on it. And then let's just say you 30 years goes by, 20 years goes by. Now you have the land, you have the mansion that you've been developing on for the last 20, 30 years. Then when you're ready, when you have enough money saved, you can, or enough money being generated, you can take a huge chunk of it, and then you can finalize your project on your property. You build up your mansion. Make sure, again, it has to be big enough to fit 5 to 6 families in there, because the whole goal is to build something for your future. You're not thinking for yourself. Get out of that mindset. You're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about your future. You understand? Now, once you have that set up, the whole house is going to be built using solar energy, 0-point energy, or magnetism. You want to set it up in a way where you don't need to have any gas lines or any electrical power lines running through the house. You want it to be fully self-sufficient. And then for that, I suggest people look up what's called earth ships. Earth, EARTH ship, like a spaceship, earth ship. These are homes that are powered by nature itself. You understand? You want to build your home in that style where you're maximizing sunlight, you're maximizing solar energy. You understand? And you're using the surrounding earth to cool and to heat up your home. And you want to have plants everywhere in your house, because the plants help regulate the temperature so that you don't need to have a Con Ed or National Grid. You understand? Because when you have plants in your house or surrounding your house, plants create their own atmosphere. So you don't need to have a national grid. You understand? When it's hot, the plants will keep your house cool. When it's cool, the plants will keep your house warm. And you want to build your home out of stone so that the temperature won't change so drastically. You understand? Once you do that, you want to start stockpiling seeds. And from the beginning, while you're building your property, you want to be planting trees around your property. Because remember, it takes trees years and years to grow. So imagine if you planted a seed on a property that you bought 20 years ago. Imagine how big that tree would be in 20 years versus you waiting to do everything at the last minute. And now you want to plant your tree. Imagine how good it would be to have your grandkids come over your property and they can pick an apple from your tree, rather than you just planting your tree. Now they can't even eat no apples, no fruits, because you're waiting 30, 40 years for this tree to grow. You understand? So this is the mindset that we got to start thinking in. So once you do that, you're going to have your trees, build your trees around your property. Start planting your trees around your property right away. That's the first thing you want to do. Even before you start developing, once you have the land, and even if you buy the land and you don't have enough money to buy the land right away, you can still put a down payment on it. You can negotiate, you can do installments. Okay, if they're asking for 1.5 million on this property, and you can say, okay, well, can I put down $100,000 or can I put down 200 grand? And then you can at least start doing it that way. You understand? Always negotiate the title and the deed, because if you don't have that, then you do not own the land. The land has to be yours outright in your name. You understand? That's pretty much it, guys. Start doing it that way, so that way you own everything. So that when you pass away, and when you buy the land, make sure you buy it in a trust. Put it in a trust fund. And when you have the trust, put your own name in the trust. Because if you're still using your straw man name, your slave name, then technically they own it. So when you do all of this, make sure it's in a trust. Buy your land and your property should be in a trust fund, so that when you pass away, it gets passed on to the next generation or your kin, and there's no government can have no control over who gets what. And they can't come and say, well, this is mine now, Social Security. You understand? So once you start to set up your business like that, and you set up your life like that, let's just say you're 20 years old, you're listening to this, you're 25 years old, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. And then by the age 27, you start your business, and then let's say you're now 40 years old now, and in the last 12 years you've been doing your own business, and you've been you've been looking at plots of land, and then you finally found the land at age 40, and then you started negotiating a deal with the the landowner, and you're making installment payments on it. You can still go over to the land and still plant your trees. You understand? And still develop on the land, because you're paying it off in increments. And then once you fully paid it off, it's now yours. So don't wait until the last minute. You understand? And then from there, you can start planting your trees and you're building your land and grow and setting up your farm. And then I would even suggest importing animals to live in your property, because once you have your own self-preserved biosphere, life will attract more life. So if you have your trees, that's going to attract the birds. Once the birds become attracted, they're going to start pollinating the area, and then you're going to start to see lots of flowers and stuff growing. Once that grows, it's going to attract the bees. Once the bees come, they're going to pollinate even more, and then this is just going to create a nice, luscious greenhouse, a nice living environment for you to live in, where you're surrounded by nature, surrounded by bugs, insects, animals, positive energy, and natural sunlight. I know this sounds crazy. I went from taxes to bugs and bees, but this is how we need to think. And imagine if everybody was doing that, how beautiful this planet would be, where everybody owns a mansion, everybody has a farm in their house, everybody has trees on their property, and nobody has to go spend money buying Monsanto's GMO fruits unless they wanted to, or convenience. And then imagine how you feel knowing that you can live in nature in the jungle, and you still got a business somewhere operating in a city that's bringing in money to you every goddamn month. How good would you feel knowing that you can have your younger family members run your business while the older family members sit back and enjoy the fruits of their labor? That's how it's supposed to be. The younger generation does the hard work, and then when they get older, they sit back and their children do the hard work. This is how it's supposed to be. You shouldn't have 80, 60, 70-year-olds still working. That's crazy. You know how many times I go and I see 70-year-olds still working at the cashiers? That's crazy. They should not be working. They should be enjoying their life, traveling the world, eating fruits, you know what I'm saying? Raising the youth, telling them stories of their life. They shouldn't be out there struggling with the youth. That's crazy. We need to get out of this mindset. We need to change how we thinking. This is a new time. We're in the age of Aquarius. And I'm an Aquarius, by the way. So this is probably why I'm really conscious. But, this is the message that was sent to me from the higher echelons of being, of existence. You understand? I think I hit all my points. I might have missed one or two, but I think you guys get the gist of what I'm saying. Stop supporting people that don't look like you. It's nothing to do with racism, because when you go into a Spanish neighborhood, everything is Spanish. You got the bodegas, you got the place selling the plantanos and the enchiladas and all this other stuff, and the rice and beans, and you got the Spanish owned spots. And then you go into the black neighborhoods and we don't own nothing. We don't own anything, but we the ones always spending our money supporting other businesses and other cultures and other nationalities and other people who do not look like us, and people who do not want us in their neighborhoods. And stop thinking, when I start a business, I'm not going to start a business in a black neighborhood. That's the reason why black neighborhoods are like this, because everybody thinking like that. Nobody want to start a business in a black neighborhood except for the Chinese man in the Yemen. So if I have a business, you should open it up in a black neighborhood. You thinking that they're not going to buy? Yes, they will. They buy. Black people, listen, anytime anything new comes out, black people own it. You can live in the hood, in the most poorest neighborhood, and guess what? They got a pair of Jordans, they got a hoverboard, they got the iPhone, they got Gucci bags. So don't think that we don't have the money. We do. We just don't want to fucking spend it. So if you want to start a business and you're thinking, man, I don't want to start a business in the hood, let me tell you something. The people know that when you start a business in the hood, you'll make more money faster than starting a business in some rich neighborhood somewhere. Why? Because black people in the hood, all they do is spend money, especially if you have it 24 hours. You understand? The thing is, we don't have stuff in our neighborhood, so you wouldn't even know. How would you know if you don't do it? Stop neglecting your people. Gnosis de la Soul. Peace.